Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Teal Tinted Glasses podcast. Another show with just me, and I promise this is not going to become a thing, but in the meantime, it unfortunately had to be. Reason I wanted to get on was because I just kind of wanted to get these. We did the pyramids that I had all you guys do the thing to do, and I really want to get that done and out of the way because as we get closer to the season, obviously there's going to be a lot to talk about. Going forward, so I figured get out of the way, and also we can touch on some news tonight that might not be fresh by the time we get to it, and then of course if you guys have questions I will do my best to answer them, although sometimes I just can't on my own on the spot without taking a horrible amount of time, and I feel bad about that. I'm really super critical about myself when I do this, so I appreciate all the support that I got the last time I did this solo. I listened to it. It wasn't terrible as I thought it was going to be. I'm hoping tonight that I can cut a lot of the and actually make it decent to listen to, even though it's just me talking and you don't have the usual banter. I will probably fail miserably at that, but here we are anyway. So welcome to the show. I didn't even see Eamon went back down. Damn it. So here we are. Got some stuff to talk about. Let's start with some of the preseason, I guess, so far. And now I haven't seen all the games. I think I've only caught in 2 of the 4. I'll watch the game tomorrow. And we'll see what happens there. So far, though, I've been pretty okay with the preseason. I mean, we went on after the last game. I went on by myself, and I don't really feel much different. I'm not too worried about the game in Calgary last night. It was the Barracuda versus most of their starters. So not that you should get bent out of shape over any preseason game, but last night definitely not one to get bent out of shape over. It was a pretty young roster versus a lot more of the regulars, and that's basically what you see. I find in the preseason now, this is really what you see now. You see that the home team generally ices the players that people want to see, and the road team is generally a bunch of AHL plugs and a few veterans to meet the NHL quota, which there is actually. You have to play, which is why some teams, when they don't have a lot of young players that they want to show off, they'll sign just a crap ton of PTOs. And the reason they do that is so that they can rest other veterans, so that they can meet the quota of guys that have played X number of games in the past seasons, which are supposed to have so many in every NHL preseason game. So there's a little tidbit for you there. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really too shocked by the result last night. I think it's basically what it is. And the Sharks cut a bunch of players, and I don't think there was really any surprises in the cuts. So I don't know. Vince G, and again I have to take Vince G's word for it because I didn't see the game. There was no replay. But he said last night the only defenseman not named Ryan Merkley had a terrible game. Yeah, so so I don't know. I can't, like I said, I can't speak to last night's game. I can only speak to the end result, and all I can say is it's preseason. Who gives a damn? It is what it is. Sharks did a round of cuts, and I guess they did another round of cuts today. I don't know, because Zachary Eamon's basically been sent back to Rouyn-Noranda. So says Vince, and Vince knows his stuff, so I'm not going to dispute that. It might have happened while I was at work. I'm not surprised. I think that the only reason he was still in camp was because you need bodies in camp, right? You need guys to I said I wouldn't do this. You obviously you need guys that can be there to take shots on, and basically, and that's what especially the younger guys, or the less established guys. Like I'm sure Bibo and Eamon were just facing just a ton of rubber in practice. So, Chmielewski and Merkley were also sent back to juniors. See, this is what happens when you work all day. Stuff happens. You just come home, you turn on the camera, you don't know anything. Chmielewski and Merkley back to juniors shouldn't surprise anyone. I think that the extended look they got in camp was awesome for them to get that extra attention from the from the coaching staff. But they had no chance of making the opening night roster. We know that the opening night roster is basically going to come down to, and I would even say, it's going to basically come down to who's the fourth line center and who's the wing and who's the 13th forward. Because I really feel like Swimella at this point, I would be absolutely shocked if that's not locked down. Okay, so there you go. Technically, happened late, so technically it won't be assigned till tomorrow. There you have it, just in time for me to be able to write something. But no, you know what? I liked Chmielewski. I thought Chmielewski had a good camp. I thought Chmielewski had a good camp. I thought Merkley had a good camp. And it's good to get them back to their junior teams, back into the what they're doing, because I mean, right now for them, a lot of these guys, it's getting back into junior, playing games, and their next target obviously is going to be the U20 and Boxing Day. So so that's going to be that's their next focus now is going to be World Juniors and playing obviously in their own on their own team. So no, Gambrell's still up. I feel like Chartier at this point has the inside track. I don't know. I feel like Chartier should have the inside track, but I feel like it's not going to be quickly decided, because and this is just me. Okay. I just feel like Chartier, just because of his size, being a smaller dude, like he looks small on the ice, and I just wonder if that's what's keeping this, thing going, or are they just keeping Gambrell along to push Chartier? I don't know. And then obviously the other question is, like, I would personally have Chartier penciled in as your fourth line center with Swimella as your third line center. The question is who is going to sit in the press box between Marcus Sorensen and Barclay Goodrow? That's really the only other, thing, right? Because only, Melker Karlsson's not going to be not on the team. So we can just, anyone who lives in this Melker Karlsson's going to sit in the press box fantasy, it's a fantasy. It's never going to happen. He's the answer to every Peter DeBoer question. Melker Karlsson. 2 + 2, Melker Karlsson. 4 × 4, Melker Karlsson. Melker Karlsson's going to be on that opening night roster. So it's going to come down to Goodrow and Sorensen for that opening night spot, which is really, actually, it's a tough thing because, as Dirk's pointing out in the chat, Barclay Goodrow's had a good preseason run, and I feel like, and that's important. And but Marcus Sorensen also, I don't feel like he's been terrible in the preseason. In that playoff run, it's 2 playoff runs in a row, and that's the problem with Marcus Sorensen, is can he find that gear to stay in the lineup during the regular season? Because him and Goodrow are gonna be neck and neck for ice time all season until they do something about it. And then obviously, and that brings you to the defense. Defense is locked in. I don't see Goodrow being the fourth line center. I mean, I just, with how little Chartier has played, I feel like from what I've seen, and maybe I'm wrong, and if the chat wants to correct me, great. But like every look Chartier has been at center, not on the wing. So I don't know why they would double back and just be like, okay, Barclay Goodrow, you're the fourth line center. Like I really feel it's probably Chartier. And then Goodrow's probably going to play wing, and he's going to have to fight for time with Marcus Sorensen. The big question, I think, on the blue line, obviously, is what's going to happen with the fourth line defensive position. Because you look at the fourth pair, or the seventh defenseman, rather, not the fourth pair, but they could be. Maybe they keep both in camp, or keep both on the roster past the season, because generally guys only carry 21, 22 players anyway. They don't carry the full 23-man roster. So there's a possibility, of course, that that Tim Heeden and Radim Šimik both be on the scratch list for the defensive, because they're going to have to do something. I mean, Tim Heed and Šimik will both have to go through waivers. I feel like Tim Heed would have the much better chance of being claimed if you put him through waivers, because I feel like Tim Heed's a guy that can quarterback your second power play. If you're really, if I'm Edmonton and I see Tim Heed go, I would probably jump all over that. Use him in sheltered minutes, throw him on your second power play. If your defense is that porous, why wouldn't you take a look at a guy like Tim Heed? Same with the Senators. Senators are another team that I think could use, another blue liner, especially one that can, give them any offense at all. And I think, again, he has that ability there. I just feel like with the players that the Sharks have now, especially with the addition of Erik Karlsson, I mean, I just don't know why you keep Tim Heed at this point. I would try and flip him for anything at this point, because I feel like it's better to flip him for something than to lose in the waivers. And I have a hard feeling that no team would want, I feel like he'd go on waivers, but maybe a team might just, that might want him, but doesn't want to flip an asset. Maybe they wait the Sharks out. They try to sweat them out to putting him on waivers. It's a possibility. So I don't know. Like, in my opinion, I don't think there's like a better option. I just feel like unless you suffer, unless Brent Burns or Erik Karlsson, heaven forbid, go down with an injury, I just don't know where Tim Heed slots into this lineup, period. And, and that's just me. And that's just me talking here. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not there, but I just feel like Šimik plays the more, he has a shot from the blue line, but he's not really the same. They're not the same type of blue liner. And I don't know, or do they try sending Šimik back down? I don't know. All I know is that both of these guys have to clear rosters. And I just feel like, or clear waivers rather. And, so the Sharks have an interesting choice there to make. I think Šimik could go back to the AHL and probably clear waivers, but you never know. A team might jump out and say, hey, you know what? We'll take a look at this guy. But I feel absolutely, Tim Heed. And then Dave bringing up the point, the thing is, what happens if Doug Wilson gets an offer for Braun or Dillon he can't refuse? I don't know if you do that during the season, though. Like, I feel like if you're going to move, like this year, the Sharks are basically all in. Why you would subtract from that blue line while you're under the cap, I don't know. I would deal one, or, if I'm going to deal one of those guys, it's in the summer. It's after the season's over. I don't see, you'd have to really blow Doug Wilson's socks off, because I really feel like the Sharks are all in. Why would you move, especially Braun? I mean, having Braun on your third pair, God, terrible problem to have. I don't know. I feel like, those spots are cemented, obviously, aside from injury. I don't know. I don't subtract from the blue line. I'm all in. I'm letting it ride. But, but they're going to have to clear money at some point, because if you look at, especially if Erik Karlsson gets extended, let's say Pavelski gets an extension. Because I think I'm not really too buying into obviously the news came out. Joe Pavelski, hasn't really had a talk of contract extension yet. Joe Pavelski's 34 years old. He just came off a banged up season. I just think the Sharks want to see what they have before they try to extend him for any period of time, especially if he's looking for a contract that's going to take him to the end of his career, which I would be vehemently against. I think that it's, this is one of the crappy things about being a fan, is because, like, you have your favorite players. And I love Joe Pavelski. I don't think I've ever said too many bad things about Joe Pavelski, other than maybe not the most fastest skater. But it's also a business, and you also have to think about things in the long term. And I just don't think that tying Joe Pavelski up till the end of his career is a wise move, period. I would, bring him back for 3 more years. Sure. 2 more years. Fine. Year to year, I'm even cool with that. But I think anything over 3, and the Sharks are probably making a mistake. And I know some people will be really angry at me for saying that, but again, it's a business. You have to you can't keep all of the guys together. You can't keep everyone together. Like, there's going to have to be guys that are going to go. You can't have, $14 billion on your blue line and, another $12 billion up the middle in the front, and keep everyone together. Like, there's going to be guys that are going to be basically cap casualties going forward, especially you figure Erik Karlsson gets extended. He's probably looking at, 12 a year. And then, okay, guys, I'll Dave and Mike have some good comments, and I'm going to get to it. But I feel like, guys are going to have to be like Braun. When his contract comes up, Braun might be looking to make his last deal. You don't know. Again, like I know some I got kind of crapped on for saying like it might be his last deal because he's only he'll be 32 when he signs his new contract. But man, like we've seen guys hit 35 and just things go really downhill really fast for some players. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Justin Braun, but the Sharks have to be cognizant of it. And I think you're going to have they're going to be cognizant of it, and they're going to have to be careful of, what they try to keep these guys together for. And I personally think if you're keeping Braun on your third pair, like it's just silly. Let him go. He's going to make easily, like I would say, I guesstimated he could get 5.55, and that's today. Who knows with the cap going up, and I think Dylan could get easily between 4 and 5 on his next deal. And that's too much. You can't have that on the blue line, period. Like it's way too much money on the blue line. You can't have it. Like the Sharks are going to have to do what other teams that have gone this strategy. I know it's going to scare people because of the state they're in now, but the Chicago Blackhawks would be a perfect example of what the Sharks are going to have to do. There's going to be good players that the Sharks are going to have to pass, like they're going to have to pass on and let go because of the other contracts that they've signed. That's going to be the way it is. So you're going to see guys, especially like on the third pair, you're going to see guys either get signed as free agents on the cheap, or you're going to see it backloaded from the farm. So you would hope that, Jeremy Watt can stay healthy, and, Jacob Middleton can keep taking steps, and, and Ryan Merkley may be ready sooner than later. But even then, then what do you do? Because your top 3 D-men at least are going to be signed into oblivion, basically. Obviously Joakim Ryan, there's some flexibility there, but Ron and Dylan, no way. They're going to have to go at some point. One of them, if not both, are going to have to go at some point. Obviously if they win, it's worth it. That's the gamble. You put together the best team you possibly can right now, and you go for it. And if it works out, yay, we have banners and we have, cool Stanley Cup memories. I mean, at least Chicago fans have that to go back on, right? They have 3 cups that they won over that span, and this is the price they're paying for it now. Well, yeah, does it suck for them now? Sure. Did it suck for them when they were winning Stanley Cups? No. And, that's just the way I feel about it. Dave is saying, what would be the max you would pay Joe Pavelski? Some are saying a good year could get him $7 or $8 million. $7 or $8 million for Joe Pavelski better not be in San Jose. That's got to be somewhere else. Rings, banners, obviously, rings, obviously, for sure. I assume by banners, I know it's San Jose and we put up banners for it's Tuesday, raise a banner, but obviously I'm talking championship banners. If he did Semek Watt and Merkley can make up for the loss of Braun and Dylan on third pair, here's the problem though. It's like, he's not going to be here. I don't think. Like, if you're Tim Heed, are you coming back to San Jose on another contract? I wouldn't. I mean, I'm going to go somewhere where I have a bigger opportunity to play, period. Šimek, I don't know what the future holds for Šimek. Yes, the banner. Exactly, Vince. Thank you. But I'm counting all the ums. I want, but I'm all in on this because I feel like, this is the Sharks have put together the team that should be able to take it home. Will they? I don't know. I mean, there's lots of teams that have been built to take it home and didn't. I mean, look how long it took the Capitals to finally, beat the Penguins and then beat, the thing. And Merkley's not going to be ready anytime soon either. He's probably going to play out the string in junior, I would imagine. I don't think there's any need to rush him, especially when, again, if you have Erik Karlsson signed long-term, Brent Burns signed long-term, Marc-Edouard Vlasic signed long-term, do you need to rush Merkley to the NHL? No. You can work out all his issues and, get him there when he's good and ready. And, again, I have high hopes for Merkley, but it is what it is, right? We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, as far as Joe Pavelski goes, back on Joe Pavelski, like I love Joe Pavelski, but there's got to be a point where Doug Wilson says, well, and I get it. Everyone loves him. He's the captain. And I get that. I just think that's, there's going to be pain along the way. There's going to be faces we like that are going to go because there's just going to be no room to keep them. period. And that's just the business. And I know that it kind of, the business can kind of sour sports at times, but that's it, man. That's it. It is what it is. I mean, I'm over this preseason nonsense. I kind of want to get the real games going. But I'm going to watch the game tomorrow, and I don't know when the next game is. I'll probably have to work because that's my life. I don't. Couture's the next captain. Yeah, I mean, why not? It's so, who knows? I mean, Logan Couture could be the next captain. I personally think Marc-Edouard Vlasic could be a good captain. He's a little less. Yeah, I don't know. They're both pretty petulant, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The C means so little to me at this point. Like, as a fan, I think it's so. It doesn't matter as much as it used to. I've always been of the opinion that, the captain. Once upon a time, like when you had a problem, when you were a player, whether it was minutes or anything like that, you would go to your captain. Back in the day, you would go to the captain, and the captain would straighten stuff out for you. Now you call your agent. You call the player calls his agent, and that gets dealt with. Like, I know the captain obviously has to speak in front of them, to the media and everything, but I don't know. I think it's one of the more overblown aspects of the game. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the video that John Scott did with Alex Stalock, but I mean, he basically revealed what I pretty much believe to be true, and I was pretty on the record as saying, like, they basically stripped Joe Thornton of the captaincy, but then all the guys voted to give it back to Joe, so they put Pavs in an awful spot by putting it on him. So, and again, I think it's so dumb. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's dumb. Like, I understand the honor of being the captain and everything, but I think it's such an overblown topic. I think you're going to see there's going to be a few teams that are going to enter, storied franchises that are going to enter the season without a captain, showing you just how important a captain is. Right? Yeah. We'll deal with pesky C later. Exactly. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else watched that John Scott video though, but that was pretty hilarious because I think you could tell, like, poor Al Stalock, because John Scott's dropping stories, and you could tell Alex Stalock's a little bit uncomfortable because he's still in the game, right? So he doesn't want to say the wrong thing, whereas John Scott's done. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But it was funny kind of watching Al Stalock kind of squirm a little bit there. But I thought it was interesting though too, because it was, John Scott talked about like the mess between the owner or the president and the GM and the coach. Obviously, this is T-Mac's last year in San Jose, so I thought it was interesting. I think it confirmed at least a lot of what we all thought. Obviously, there wasn't this mutual parting of ways was just silly. Sorry about that. I had a drink. But anyway, if you didn't watch it, I'm sure if you just go on YouTube and find John Scott, you can find the interview he did with Al Stalock. It's pretty entertaining. I think it's like 20 minutes. It was worth the watch though. I enjoyed it. So you should definitely check that out. So what I guess I'm going to do is I'm going to show off the pyramid that you guys made, and then we can all make fun of ourselves. And then we can maybe do some questions, or I can find some other stuff to talk about. We'll figure it out. So I am going to share one of my screens here. You're just gonna have to bear with me as I technology by myself. All right, so I can't see the chat right now because obviously I have my screen being shared. This is oh no, that's mine. That's the worst. Wow, I failed. Epic fail. All right, let's try that again later in a second. Epic failure. This is the worst day of my life. Where'd it go? Where did it go? Yeah, this is where I need an editor or someone to like come out and juggle, maybe dance around a little bit. I think my podcatcher like cuts dead noise out. Like it'll just cut dead air out, so I won't even notice this when I listen to it on the replay. But I'll know it'd be there, and it will make me angry. Okay, I think I have it this time. And And there it is, the audience survey. What I can tell you about it. Well, Ryan Merkley was pretty much tier 2 by a hair. There was a big split on whether he should be in tier 1 or tier 2. On my pyramid, I have him as a tier 1. I explained my reasoning in a post on Teal Town USA, so you can check that out. And tier 3, you guys have Gambrell, Chmelevski, Swamela, who I spelled wrong, Latunov, Habigawatz, we got McGrew, which just got an ELC, Jeremy Watt, Ferrio, and Antoine Bibo, which you guys were all crazy about your goalies, and I was kind of intrigued by that. Actually, though, but Antoine Bibo, I think I don't know if I'd put him tier 3, but I can definitely see putting him on the pyramid. Maybe not tier 3, because I just don't know if there's an actual NHL goalie there, but I don't know. I mean, I could see an argument for tier 4, but it is what it is. This is what you guys voted for. This is how it goes. Then we have Noah Gregor, Joachim Blichfeld, Praplin, which I spelled wrong again, Chekovic, which I probably also spelled wrong, Carlson, that would be of the Linus variety. I have Middleton, which I didn't have. This would be Jacob Middleton, because I didn't have the other Middleton on the thing. Charche in tier 4 kind of surprised me a little bit, though I think I put him in tier 4 too, just because of the injuries. I have Praplin twice. That's how good he is. Kotkov, Sandberg, Simic, and DeSimone. And then in the bottomish tier, the second last tier, that's not everyone else, we have Alexander True, Radil, Scott Reedy, Fitzgerald, Cornash, Kupski, and Emond. And as far as Kupski and Cornash, you guys are crazy, but I love you anyway. So that is that. I'm going to stop sharing that now, and I'll probably put it up on a post or whatever later, just so you can, just so you guys can all see that. Yeah, I mean, here's my take on Merkley and why I put him in tier 1. Maybe I'll even go find my own words for why I did it, and that way I'm consistent, because I feel like I explained it really well in my post. I'm going to go back and find it. Dun, 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 dun. Up in my clicks. Woohoo. And again, you can find this on Teal Town USA. So basically, what did I say about Ryan Merkley? I said the first question I'm sure many will ask is, how does a player taken 21st overall in the draft and won't play in the NHL right away a tier 1 prospect? Obviously, these things are subjective, which they are. Obvious, everyone's going to have their own reasons for ranking guys certain things, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. That's why I like the pyramid, because you're not fighting over, oh, this guy should be 6th instead of 4th. No, that stuff doesn't happen here. You just kind of throw them in there and you deal with it. And I just feel like, because, to summarize what I wrote, because I actually wrote a fair bit, my take on this is Ryan Merkley is a top 10 pick without the off-ice baggage. Based on talent alone, this kid's going to get drafted higher than every other defenseman other than, obviously, Rasmus Dahlin, who's clear-cut better than pretty much any other defenseman in the draft. Like, Rasmus Dahlin's a freak. But Ryan Merkley, for talent, for my money, and I'm not just saying this because he was drafted. This is something I would have told you probably before the draft. This is a kid that has all the talent in the world. The problem is the off-ice issues. And if it wasn't for those off-ice issues, he doesn't fall to 20-something, 21st overall in the draft. He has just elite skills. And I think you guys have, if you've been watching the preseason, you've seen them. The way that he can get through the blue line like a knife through butter, and he makes these just ridiculous passes that when he makes them, you're like, what are you doing, you dummy? And then he completes the pass, and you're like, okay, I'm the dummy. Like, there's just, this kid has so many elite talents. But the problem is he going to be able to put it all together? We'll see. But if he can, this guy's going to be way better. Like, people are going to look back at this draft, if things go the way I think they do, and they're going to say, holy crap, how did all these teams pass on Ryan Merkley? How did teams have him on their no draft list? Like, what were they thinking? And it's going to be one of those could have had things, and it would be great. So that's kind of my reasoning there. Who am I imitating when I do that whiny voice? That's just my go-to voice. Kuda Phil, I'm sorry. I have this voice that I do when I want to whine. I don't know. When I'm just mocking people that are whining, it's this thing I've always done. It's a quirk. Again, like, pyramid's completely subjective. I thought, it was a fun thing, and I'm glad we did it. And I wanted to get it out of the way tonight because I didn't want us to, basically try and just shoehorn it in on a show that, where there's probably bigger things going on with the season starting and everything else. I mean, you've got Laterra, I guess, auditioning to sign and, to star in Scarface 2, apparently. If you didn't hear about that, I guess Yuri Laterra, his Finnish summer home was raided by police. And and it was, I guess, something to do with the cocaine ring. I don't know all the details yet because there's not a whole lot of details to be had. Just that he's under investigation. The Flyers aren't saying anything. So look for Yuri Laterra, Scarface 2 coming out maybe next spring. I don't know. All right, guys. Dave, have a good night. Jerry, we're gonna keep it rolling as long as I can without losing my voice. Right. Yeah, it's never a matter of Merkley can't defend it. It's a matter of his willingness to defend it, and that's it. Yes, cocaine ring. You guys are gonna have to Google this stuff, man. I don't have all the details. I just saw it on a thing and I wrote it down quickly because I thought it was hilarious. I don't know. Scarface 2, Yuri Laterra. It was funny though because I think it was one of our friends from the Let's Go Blues podcast, and they said, because someone's like, "Is he a drug kingpin?" And he said, "I don't know. If you've watched him skate, he's more of a mule." And I thought that was hilarious. Probably delivery not great there, but I thought it was hilarious. Some of the RFAs, obviously, the RFA list dwindled down. I think there's only 2 players left, maybe 1, because I think Shea Theodore signed now. Yeah, he did. So. Is William Nylander the only guy signed at this point? I think so. That'll be interesting. But, Sam Reinhart got a deal done in Buffalo. Miles Woods signed a deal in New Jersey. Darnell Nurse signed in Edmonton. And I think Oilers fans should be breathing a huge sigh of relief after that one because, man, their blue line was looking pretty rough. Pretty rough. I thought Shea Theodore, the 7 years, 5.2. I mean, that's... that I thought I was surprised by that number. I'm not maybe super surprised because Shea Theodore is really good, but usually not the money you get off of sitting out on your contract. Sorry, I had hiccups and that was annoying. And then of course the what was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say. Yeah, Vince says that the analytics for Merkley on the preseason were, and I haven't really looked at the analytics, but I trust what my eyes see most of the time because I think my eyes are good at seeing stuff, except for I'm not wearing my glasses like now. The other interesting thing that happened, the Zach Smith waivers situation where he went from basically being the top line center between, or maybe second line center, Stone, but he's playing between Stone and who is he playing with? See, this is why you need your notes up all the time, kids. Yeah, Stone and Tkachuk. So he's playing between Mark Stone and Brady Tkachuk. And then the coach, then the GM puts him on waivers, but he has like $3.25 million AAV for another 3 years. So no one's touching that contract because that's way too much for what should be a fourth line center, maybe a third on some teams. But fourth line on a good team, in my opinion, is where Zach Smith would fit. And so he clears waivers and the coach put him back on that line, which basically tells me that there's a huge disconnect between there's a huge disconnect obviously between what's going on in the coaching room and what's going on in the GM's office. And I'm not going to lie. Guy Boucher is kind of screwed, isn't he? Like, there's no way to get out of this mess that they're in. Like, nothing he can do anyway. I mean, he's just going to have to coach what he has to the best of his ability and hopefully not put us to sleep. But I can't even imagine what is going on in Ottawa. Like, every day it seems like there's just a new story out of Ottawa that just makes me go, how do you still have a team? How has the NHL not stepped in and taken your team away? Now, I'm sure there's legal reasons they can't, but it boggles my mind why you would let a franchise, especially in Canada. Like, what are you doing? Like, you have a license to print money and you're screwing it up. Yeah, and Melnick's probably the factor behind here. Obviously, he wants to pinch every penny he can get, but I don't know. I don't understand what's going on in Ottawa. I know I joked when they were saying, like, why in the chat that me and Kevin and Hockey Jerk have, and they're like, why would you do this? And I'm like, well, because you got to get 10 new guys this year. That's the only reason I can think of, though, right? Like, he said in the video, 10 new guys. 10 new guys. Got to waive Zach Smith. Got to get 10 new guys. And then we got to, we got to be good. Will we rebuild and win the Stanley Cup? Will we rebuild? And how's the locker room, right? I can tell you what our locker room's like. I posted on Twitter. Kevin leaves his turtlenecks everywhere. I don't even know Hockey Jerk even exists because I've never seen him with my own eyes. And I just yell at the wall about hockey stuff 24/7, and then they sit me down here in front of a camera, and I do it in front of the camera. And then when the camera turns off, I keep doing it. It's unfortunate though, man, because like Ottawa is such a beautiful city, and those fans deserve better. Like I can't even imagine, and again, I remember when the Sharks were setting records for most losses in a season, and least points in a season, and so I mean I've lived through some pain as a fan, but I can't even, going from being like a shot away from the Stanley Cup final to this in 2 years. How do you even wrap your head around that? I can't. At least I knew, like, hey, this is an expansion team. This is going to be terrible for at least, a few years. And it was. And we got, the third year we made the playoffs and gave everyone a run. And then, but then there was a little bit of a dip, and then we came back. But what's happening in Ottawa right now, I don't even know how anyone in Ottawa is suffering through this. Like, I don't really begrudge people's fandom. Like, if you want to jump on it, if you're a bandwagon fan, you just kind of jump around, that's your choice, man. That's cool, whatever. But man, if I was an Ottawa fan, I'd be looking for another team to kind of watch, and which I kind of already do anyway. Like, I watch like a lot of Winnipeg Jets games while I'm waiting for Sharks games to come on, or I'll flip through games, early games when I'm off, waiting for a Sharks game to come on at night. It's just, it's messed up. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I think there's a part of me that just doesn't want to understand it, because I think if I understand it, then I will be lost in whatever insanity is currently happening in Ottawa. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it to you guys, because I've been at this surprisingly almost 40 minutes. So I'm gonna throw it to you guys. If you guys have any questions in the chat, I will be happy to answer them. I want to save some stuff for an actual show with Hockey Jerk and Kevin, one or the other, or both preferably. But if it's just one, that's cool too. So if you have questions in the chat, I will do my best to answer them. Without trying to be too dead air. Vince G, I'll never argue about getting Erik Karlsson from what Doug Wilson paid for him, obviously. But how does Ottawa stand firm with Dallas or Vegas for top prospects and then turn around and get bent over Doug Wilson? It was funny because I think it was maybe 31 Thoughts Jeff Merrick, or it was Elliot Friedman rather, and he said that other GMs call Doug Wilson the dentist, because if you get into a chair and listen to him, then you're not going to get out, and you're not going to feel good when you get out of the chair, because he's going to just drill until he finds something that he likes. So yeah, apparently Doug Wilson is not everyone's favorite GM to deal with. I know, we heard as much from Brian Burke not too, a couple years back, maybe at this point. Yeah, maybe it's a mafia deal. I don't know. Maybe Doug Wilson does have things. Quick hits on the Atlantic and Central. Okay, the Atlantic Division is all my least favorite teams. The Atlantic Division really comes down like this. It's going to be Tampa, Boston, Toronto, everyone else. maybe the Panthers might do something, but the Panthers are kind of a bubble team for me. I think the top three are firmly there. Montreal's going to be terrible. Detroit's going to be terrible. Ottawa's going to be terrible, which I think leaves Florida as a bubble team. And then, am I missing Buffalo? I think Buffalo will be okay. Maybe Buffalo can fight with Florida over being a bubble team fighting for a wild card spot. But I really think that those top three teams are just head and tails above everything else in the division. And not only that, but you play within your division the most. So I just, I don't think, there's no easy game, so they say. But I mean, when your schedule is mostly against your division and you're in the Atlantic, there's a lot of points prime for the pick in there, in my opinion, when you're playing Ottawa and Detroit and Montreal. Maybe Montreal, Carey Price has an MVP season again and makes it look like it's not all that bad. But I think it is in Montreal. Going into the Central's gonna be interesting. Obviously, you have Nashville. I think Nashville's gonna be solid still. I did not see Mirko Mueller news in New Jersey, so you'll have to enlighten me. The Central, okay, so you got the Predators. I think Predators are going to be good. I think St. Louis should be really good. I'm not going to sleep on the Blues this year. Winnipeg's going to be awesome. I think Winnipeg, a lot of people are talking about how Toronto's the best team in Canada. I don't think so. I think it's Winnipeg, to be completely honest with you. I like Winnipeg is I think more of a complete team. Toronto is absolutely more top heavy. I'll agree with that, but I will take Winnipeg's blue line over Toronto's any day of the week. And I think that Hellebuck and Anderson is kind of a toss up there. You could flip a coin to decide who's better. Sleepy. Yeah, I agree. Buffalo's going to be better. I just don't know if they're going to be playoff better. I think that they definitely need to make strides in the right direction. I just don't know if playoffs are going to be there based on having to steal. You have to fight with a pretty stacked Metro division for those wild card spots. So, but again, I think, I agree. Buffalo's going to be better. Back to the Central. So I have what I said: Nashville, St. Louis, Winnipeg. I don't know what to make of Minnesota. Minnesota's just such a bland team. Like, they're just the most average at everything, and I don't know what to make of Minnesota. They could be a threat for the playoffs. They could be a bubble team. I'm not sure. Colorado, I'm not sold Colorado as a playoff team. I think that they'll be okay. I think they will be in the mix until the end. I'm just not sold on Colorado as a playoff team. Which brings us to Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be in the mix. They should be. You would hope so. I mean, they need their young defense to, take maybe another step. Ben Bishop obviously has to stay healthy and be good. And they're going to need, I think they're going to need a bounce back year from Spezza too, I think. Obviously the coaching, Hitchcock being there, I think messed a lot of things up. They've got the new coach coming in from Denver. I think that's going to change things up a lot. Dallas, I think, is going to surprise some teams this year. I really believe that. But I've been saying that forever. So grain of salt, maybe. And then who else is in the Central? Chicago is Chicago. I don't even know who their starting goaltender is right now. I don't know if Crawford's going to be healthy enough to play. And they're not, Chicago, they have their issues, but I don't know. It really depends on Corey Crawford. If Corey Crawford can come back and be Corey Crawford, then they obviously have the tools that they could definitely make waves in that division. But I'm just not sold at all. I don't know. Am I missing anybody in the Central? I feel like I hit everyone. So there's only 7 teams in the Central, right? They're the only team that doesn't have 8 teams. So there is my quick hits on the Atlantic and Central division. I hope that was good, because it's all I got right now. There's so many questions. I think the Central is gonna be super easy. Jersey. So you got I say St. Louis is a playoff team. They're in the mix. I'm not sleeping on St. Louis this year. Yeah, Mirko Mueller's fighting with 3 people for the final lefty spot. That just shows you how good your defense is on the bottom pair of New Jersey. Sorry, New Jersey. Poor guys. I think that's another team that's gonna plummet back to earth this year is New Jersey. Yeah, I don't know. Any other questions that you guys got before I cut this out? Because I don't like standing here just mumbling. Oh no, St. Louis is better. St. Louis has the pieces. Yeah, Jake Allen. Okay, look at Jake Allen has to be good. I agree. Rob Iman in the chat saying that they're a bubble team depending on Allen. I think, yeah, Jake Allen has to be good. I have confidence that he will be. And they have different look at they loaded up. They got Ryan O'Reilly. I really love Ryan O'Reilly. Like Ryan O'Reilly is one of my favorite underrated teams in the league. Sleepy Mofo bring up Corey Perry. Yeah, Corey Perry not out for 5 months or something. Is it though? Like, here's the thing. I keep thinking like, yeah, that's a huge loss. And then I'm like, is it though? Because like his production's been so down the last 2 years that, I mean, obviously look at, hey, 20 goals is 20 goals or 17 goals or whatever it is. And you still have to make them up from somewhere. But I just feel like, I don't want to say addition by subtraction because I don't think that's fair to Corey Perry. And I'm trying not to just, let's keep my teal tinted glasses a little less tinted here for a second and try and be objective about this. I don't know if not having Corey Perry might actually help the Ducks a little bit because it's going to give opportunities to other guys. Look, at Corey Perry's still a hell of a hockey player despite his recent decline. But, I think it's a great opportunity for someone to really step up and get in there. I don't know. It definitely hurts. Like, I think it hurts the Ducks a little bit, but the Ducks, they're going to be right in there. I still think, because look at Corey Perry hasn't been Corey Perry for the last 2 years. A guy like Sam Steele could come in, like Vince is saying, and make waves. They have probably the best goaltender in the Pacific Division. And I know that's going to give me some crap, but I don't care. I think John Gibson's probably the best goalie in the Pacific. I don't think it's close. They have the defense. Their defense got better. It got quicker. It's still, you've got some nice pieces on the defense score still. And now you're not being, laid down by Kevin Bieksa, eating time that he shouldn't eat. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Ducks are. I think the Ducks are definitely going to be a factor in the Pacific. Are they a playoff team? I don't know. I still think Vegas is going to be fine this year. I think the Kings will be okay. I need to see this Calgary thing with my own eyes to believe it, because we've been saying this forever. And I kind of feel the same way about the Coyotes, man. I'm usually really bullish on the Coyotes every year. This year, I can't jump on the hype train as much as I like what they have and I like what they're doing for the most part. I mean, there's a few things that the Coyotes have done that I've kind of raised my eyebrow at. But I need to see it to believe it. And then, there's Edmonton, who, if Talbot can regain his form, I'm never going to count out a team with Connor McDavid on it. Just period. Corey Perry went down with the knee injury today. So that's a tough thing for Corey Perry, especially so close to the season. It's a tough thing for the Ducks too. But I think that, Corey Perry he's a good player, and I'm not trying to take anything with Corey Perry, but I really think that it's a great opportunity for some of the really, really, really young guys that the Ducks have in the system. Seth Jones also got hurt too. Yes. Only a month though. He's going to be out. Seth Jones will be out for a month in Columbus, which hurts Columbus. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Seth Jones is a great defenseman, and they've got such a neat decor there, with Zach Werenski on it too. But Jackets will be fine. Vince, remember the word we were getting Luke Shen in the summer, but then we got Erik Karlsson. Good times. I agree. Good times. So far the Sharks, hopefully we can stay healthy, and but I don't think there's a better team in the Pacific than San Jose right now. And that's not me speaking, Teal Tinted Glasses. If I thought they were terrible, I'd tell you they were terrible. Or I would at least tell you, like I have on this show before, where I'm like, yeah, this team probably not a playoff. They're just a playoff team. They're not a contender. I mean, I feel like I shoot pretty straight when it comes to the Sharks on this podcast. And I think the Sharks are easily the best team in the Pacific right now. And there's no reason they shouldn't run away with it. I don't care how good Vegas is. I don't care if Vegas completely does what they did last year over again. I don't think it's enough. I don't know anything about Timmy Panarin. As far as I know, both he and Bobrovsky are going to go into camp. They're going to, they've gone to camp. They're going to play, and whatever happens, happens. So that'll be interesting to see what happens in Columbus. Because I think Columbus might be in for like an all-in year because they lose both Bobrovsky and Panarin. That's a tough gig. I know Columbus. I feel like Columbus has a couple of goalies in the pipe, though. But I mean, replacing Sergei Bobrovsky, as much as he hasn't really done anything in the playoffs, it'd still be a difficult thing to do. But aside from that, though, I've been talking for almost an hour, and I once again appreciate that you guys sat down and listened to me ramble by myself. I promise that we will get back to normal. Hockey Jerk had a thing come up tonight. Oh, Gritty. Oh my God. How did I forget Gritty? Okay. We'll put my little outro off to the side for a minute. Gritty. I don't even know what to describe Gritty. Like, is it animal with too many cheeseburgers? I don't know. I like it because it has that creepy factor, kind of like it reminded me when I saw it, the first thing I thought of was the Oilers mascot, just for like the creepy, eyes and face and just like things that you would see in your nightmares. And everyone's had some fun, kicking the tar to this poor mascot. And then he fell with the cannon on the ice, and that was pretty hilarious. All the good jokes about Gritty have been taken. Yeah, Gritty has more followers than Bailey. Well, I mean, yeah, some things are like, people like car. You never turn from a car wreck. I don't know. I'm kind of, you know what? I like that Philly's kind of taken in stride too. Like, it's amusing. I can't not be amused by Gritty. I don't know. So Philly has their new mascot. And there's been so many great jokes on Twitter, and I can't remember one off the top of my head. I think there was one. Yeah, exactly. Gritty was the mascot they wanted. He's the one they deserved. So they'll throw stuff at him and he'll take it. That's true. He will take it. I think the best tweet I saw was like something about Montreal sending their mascot to Philly so that, to get more grit in their room. And I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, no, that's it. I'm going to get out of here because my throat's drying out, and this is difficult doing this poor one man experience. But I like I said, I promise we're going to get back to normal. Jerk had some stuff come up tonight. Unfortunately, that just saw him not able to go. And then we kind of discussed some other times that we might be able to go, and we just couldn't really lock down anything, unfortunately. So I thought I'd come on tonight. I would share the pyramid that you guys made because I wanted to get that done and out of the way, and I'll post it on tealtintedglasses.com tomorrow. You can follow Hockey Jerk at hockey_jerk. You can also follow Kevin Lacey at KevinLacey22. If you are here tonight and you like what you saw and you weren't completely horrified by it, hit the subscribe button, tell 2 friends, hit the little bell so you can find it when we're on. And like I said, we're going to get back to normal here. We're going to get back into regular season form. I'm ready. You can follow me at Ian Blogs Hockey. You can find my writing at tealtownusa.com. I will definitely be probably doing another article soon. I did one about my prospect pyramid. I also did one going over the previous round of scratches. I'm sure there's going to be a nice new round of scratches that I might get to write about tomorrow. Season's almost here, guys. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do after the game tomorrow. I'm not sure. But don't rule it out. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for being a part of the show. And we will be back, hopefully, back to our normal format next time you see me. All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks. Goodbye.